The moment she said it, I thought I misheard her. We were sitting at our kitchen table on a quiet Sunday morning, coffee half finished, sunlight cutting through the blinds. Then she looked at me and said, almost casually, "I'm going on a date with someone else to see if I'm settling." I remember my hand freezing mid-air, spoon hovering over my mug. No anger in her voice. No hesitation. Just certainty. I opened my mouth to respond, but nothing came out. That silence wasn't peace. It felt like something inside our life had just cracked wide open without warning. We had been together for 4 years, living in a small rented apartment downtown, sharing everything from groceries to late-night takeout decisions. People thought we were stable, even perfect in that quiet, boring way couples aim for. I worked as a graphic designer. She was in marketing. We met through a mutual friend's birthday party and clicked instantly. At least I thought we did. We weren't flashy, but we were consistent. Weekend movies, evening walks, shared playlists. Looking back, maybe consistency was just comfort pretending to be love. Still, I never expected comfort would one day be called settling by her. The changes didn't happen overnight, but I noticed them in fragments. She started spending more time on her phone, smiling at messages she wouldn't explain. Our conversations became shorter, more transactional. "Did you eat? I'll be late." That kind of thing. We used to talk about everything. Childhood fears, future plans, random dreams at 2 a.m. Now it felt like we were coexisting, not connecting. I tried to ignore it, convincing myself every long-term relationship hits quiet phases. But deep down, something was shifting, and I just didn't have a name for it yet. The real stakes hit me when she casually mentioned marriage a few months earlier. I had been thinking about proposing, even saving for a ring. But her reaction was lukewarm, almost distant. "Let's not rush things," she said. I agreed, not wanting to pressure her. But now, sitting across from her as she talked about going on a date with another man, as an experiment, I realized we weren't even on the same page about what we were building. To her, I wasn't a future anymore. I might have been a question she needed to test before discarding. That week after her announcement, I couldn't sleep properly. Every sound in the apartment felt louder, every silence heavier. I started noticing small things I had ignored before, her phone turning face down when I entered, sudden work dinners, and new perfume I didn't recognize. One night, I saw a message preview flash on her screen, "Can't wait for Friday." She quickly locked it when she saw me looking. I didn't ask. That was the strange part. I wanted answers, but I was terrified of what asking might actually confirm. On Thursday night, she finally explained her so-called plan more clearly. We were sitting on the couch, TV playing in the background without either of us watching. "It's not cheating," she said, almost defensively. "It's just clarity. I need to know if I'm staying with you because I love you or because it's easy." I asked her quietly, "And this guy?" She shrugged. "Just someone I met through work. Nothing serious." That word, nothing, hit harder than anything else. Because suddenly, I felt like I was the only thing that was serious in our entire relationship. The days leading up to her date felt unreal. She picked out clothes carefully, something she hadn't done for me in months. I watched her try outfits in the mirror, asking, "Does this look too much?" I answered honestly, though it didn't matter anymore. There was a strange emotional distance growing between us, like we were roommates sharing a shrinking space. One evening I asked, "Do you even want me to wait for you after this?" She paused, then said, "I don't know yet." That was the first time I realized I might already be losing her before the date even happened. Friday arrived like a quiet storm. She got ready early, more nervous than I expected. Before leaving, she said, "Don't wait up, okay?" I nodded. The door closed behind her, and suddenly the apartment felt enormous and empty. I sat there for a while, staring at the wall, replaying everything she had said. Part of me wanted to follow her, confront her, or stop her. But another part just felt numb. I wasn't angry yet. I was suspended somewhere between disbelief and acceptance, as if my emotions were still trying to catch up with reality. When she came back the next day, it was past noon. I was in the kitchen when she walked in, avoiding eye contact. I asked, "So how was your experiment?" She dropped her bag and sighed. "It was interesting." I pressed gently, Interesting how? She hesitated, then said, he listened differently. Like I mattered in a way I forgot existed. That sentence landed like a slow punch. I finally said, and what does that make me? She didn't answer immediately. Then quietly, familiar. Safe. Maybe too safe. That was the first time I felt replaced by a concept instead of a person. I asked her directly, are you leaving me? She shook her head. I don't know yet. That's the point of the date. I laughed once, not because it was funny, but because it felt absurd. So I'm in a competition I didn't agree to enter? She looked guilty for a moment, then said, life doesn't always ask for permission. That line stuck with me. It sounded philosophical, but it felt like an excuse dressed as wisdom. I realized then she wasn't confused about me. She was testing whether her feelings for me were still convenient enough to keep. Later that night, I found out something I wasn't supposed to know. A mutual friend casually mentioned she had met this guy twice before the official date. It wasn't spontaneous. It had been building quietly behind my back. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. I didn't want to confuse things, she said. That was the moment something in me finally shut off. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Just clarity. I said, then don't. She looked confused. I continued, if you need experiments to decide whether I matter, then you already have your answer. The next morning, I started packing a small bag. She noticed and asked, what are you doing? I said calmly, removing myself from your experiment. She followed me into the room, saying, you're overreacting. But I wasn't. For the first time, I wasn't reacting at all. I was deciding. I told her, you don't get to test me while I sit here waiting for results. She went quiet. The apartment felt colder than usual, like the walls were absorbing every word we didn't say. I left before she could turn it into another explanation. Over the next few days, she tried calling. I didn't answer immediately. When I finally did, she sounded different, less certain. I think I made a mistake, she admitted. He wasn't what I thought. I asked, and what about me? She paused. You were always real. That was the first honest thing she had said in weeks, but it came too late. I told her I wasn't available for confusion anymore. Meanwhile, I stayed at a friend's place, rebuilding silence into something I could breathe in again. A week later, I officially moved my things out. She was there, standing by the door, watching me load boxes into a car. Are you really done? She asked. I nodded. You taught me something, I said. She looked down. What's that? I replied. That being chosen shouldn't feel like a test. She didn't argue. For once, there was no debate, no justification. Just acceptance. As I closed the car door, I realized I wasn't walking away from love. I was walking away from uncertainty disguised as it. Months later, life felt quieter but clearer. I heard she ended things with the other guy soon after, realizing the experiment didn't give her the answer she wanted. But by then, I was no longer part of her equation. I didn't hate her, and I didn't miss her in the way I once thought I would. What stayed with me was the lesson. If someone needs to compare your love to something else to understand its value, they've already misunderstood it. And sometimes, the strongest reply to being tested is simply walking away without one.